meeting.
Right?
I actually expect to see larger contingent from the religious group about
Me
the,
too. That's,
yeah, but sure. Okay.
fair and
Well, if you're ready, I can get record. You want me to?
Sure, hit record. We'll do it. And I'm gonna hit this just because I have it. We'll call the meeting to order of Monday, August 18th for the Library Advisory Commission. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Dubin,
present.
Commissioner Candelwall,
Present.
Commissioner Lydgate,
Lidgate here. present.
Commissioner Rogers is absent, Commissioner Termini,
Here.
Commissioner Wool, here, and Commissioner Lee.
Here. Thank you.
I'll have a motion to adopt the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions?
I move that we adopt the agenda.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, we'll move on to oral communications. Any member of the audience that has an item that is not on tonight's agenda would like to address, or someone online like to address the commission, please indicate. Very good. Here we go.
So it's Woody.
Good evening. I had thought about driving to Aptos, but that idea seemed really terrible at this time of day. And it's unfortunate that the agenda comes out, you know, with such a short time for the public to see it and submit comments in time for your Monday meeting. Nevertheless, I have not had the heart or stomach to look at the devastation on Lot 4. With many people in the community are very upset about the loss of the heritage trees, having dreaded the day the bulldozers would come. That's all I'll say about that. It's very sad.
Thank you, caller. Anything else? I appreciate your comments. Anyone else? No one else online, Yvonne?
No one else.
Very good. Let's see, we will go on to the library director's report. Christopher.
Yeah, so I included the printed report in the packet. There's a few things that I'll just highlight from that report. In the positive news, and I use positive in quotes because I'm meaning that it's not negative, is the state budget is treating libraries pretty good this year, considering all things. So remember, there was some ambiguity about where we would land. But for our California Library Services Act funds, which we use to pay our shared ebook collection, we will likely get the same amount we got last fiscal year. The lunch at the library, which we participate for the lunch perspective, also gets funded this year, which is good. We'll find out that amount later. And then it's not in the library's part of the state budget, but the parks passes have been rescued for another year.
Yay.
December of next year. That's of course one of our most popular things. So I think I've said, aside from telescopes, they're the most reserved thing that we have.
Really?
So those are some positives. There's still some ambiguity at the federal level that we're watching, but we'll take what we can get right now. Just a quick heads up, on Sunday, August 31st, our network will be down for server work. With the generator finally being installed at the headquarters, we're able to move our servers from the downtown library to the new server room, which we just need to give the team a day to do correctly, because there's a lot of wires. So that will be that Sunday, because it's the least impact on our public. You may have seen from the last LJPA meeting last June, our expanded hours were approved. That is adding an additional hour to closure 4 days a week for this building and for Scotts Valley, and then Sunday afternoons for Felton and Capitola. We had anticipated launching that in October. With some HR issues on some of the positions, we may now slide into November, but we will know more in the next 2 weeks, so I will report out on that. And then two other really exciting things. Summer reading program this year was really successful. I don't tend to look at things just in numbers, but it climbed 9.5% in participation compared to last year. And the two biggest climbers were teens and adults. So that is a real win, and I want to give credit to the staff. Two of whom are sitting in the audience for helping that success. And then as well, strategic planning kicked off with you may remember we had our consultant start doing some background work for us in late spring. They interviewed some members here. If you have not been interviewed by the consultant, let me know and we'll make sure you get connected. They interviewed the LJPA board. They did a peer library survey of 14 peer libraries in the state and across the country and just did a really good deep dive into the data, including Santa Cruz County specific data. We did a kickoff with staff earlier last week. That's just to kick off our internal process, and what will happen next is the exciting part. So there will be surveys that are going out for the public and for stakeholders, both electronically and in paper that you can pick up at the branches, and those will run through into October. And then in October, there will be a series of about 6 more focus groups to hit more constituents and stakeholders and staff from around the system. And then the fun part comes because you get all that data together and you analyze it, and you see what sips and rises to the top, and that's how we build out our strategy, right? So our goal is to have the strategy ready for the board to adopt early next spring. And we will keep you updated on that. And from the report itself, I think that I will stop talking. That's.
How goes the hectic campaign for California Library Board member? How's the campaign trail?
I was not looking for that. I was tapped on the shoulder because apparently no one from the Bay Area had put in for that. So I was the one who didn't push my chair away from the table.
There you go.
But I will let you know, I think the election happens in late September, early October.
Wonderful. That's great.
I have,
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Rena?
I had read this, and I was racking my brain about the expanded hours.
Mhm.
And I don't remember us talking about it. And I was just wondering, like, I know we have had a lot of discussion about hours previously in past years. And so, I just, like, I obviously have no problem with this, but I just wanted it to, us to have a conversation about it next time. if,
Sure, happy to.
Yeah, because I think we have opinions. Which you may or may not want to hear, but.
All right.
And I'm sure
just
you're
for the
using
process.
the new entry data system where we can actually count heads. That's part of the metric.
Mhm. And some of the data that was done last year or the year before I got here, there was an amount of community data that was pulled together.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Happy to have that
Wonderful.
presentation.
Tricia, you had something?
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, that was an awful lot of good news for putting quotes around positive. I mean, I'm really, really pleased. I'm pleased to hear about summer reading and I'm pleased with the expanded hours. And I do know that this is a conversation that has been happening as libraries were opening. And frankly, I'm just so pleased that there was a little money in the budget to increase
Mhm.
hours. As you know, when I was a little girl, we used to go to the library after dinner and like
Yeah,
it's hard
7
to
is
imagine
great.
that right now. But I mean, now some libraries will be able to do,
Yeah.
to host that. So I'm super happy about that. And I also just am very encouraged that you're willing to take on a leadership position statewide, because I do think it situates Santa Cruz well for just hearing of things coming through before other libraries do. So I want to encourage you to do that. And if we need to, you know, like
We
anybody
need-
else.
we need a campaign for you or? You have buttons?
You know, I do just before going to you, Charlotte, I, just so you know, I do know a lot of people just from when I was in New York here. Last Friday morning, I was on the phone with Susan Broman, and she's the #2 at Los Angeles Public Library talking safety issues and things like that. So it's there. I'm very much someone who doesn't know all the answers, and I will pick up the phone and call someone, but you're right. It's nice to be part of an organization that supports staff from a different angle and nurture staff going forward.
Charlotte, you had something?
Yeah, my question was specific to the focus groups. Is there a way to make sure we include people who do not live currently in serviced areas in that focus group?
You mean,
I can give you a whole map.
yeah, we actually have a owner, Jennifer's not here tonight, of people who don't use us regularly and people who like, you know, we would reach by outreach, right? So South County, San Lorenzo Valley, up in the mountains, what have you. But if you have ideas, share them with me.
I sense she does.
The consultants are putting together those lists right now.
Anyone else? And with regard to being able to pick up the phone, there's an old saying that librarians don't have all the answers. They just know where to get them.
Yeah.
So Very good. Thank you very much for that. See, we'll move on to reports for the Friends.
Hello, good evening, everyone, Sarah Beck. I have a few good pieces of news as well. I was very pleased on August 5th, Janice O'Driscoll and I delivered a check to the public library for $89,500 for the literacy fund. So we felt very good about that. We're also, again, just so thankful and appreciative that we are able to contribute to what is our greatest passion. Really, I think this is and hearing about the success of the summer reading is always very encouraging, but you know, all of the literacy programs are so important to us. So it feels really good to see that. We also are very pleased to be supporting strategic planning in every way we can, and really appreciating opportunities for these, you know, focus groups and surveying, as well as if there's any opportunities. I know we've discussed the possibility of needing help or incentives in reaching some of those underserved populations that you want surveys from. So if the Friends can help with that, just lots of ways we want to support that process and make sure all of this is sort of. And most exciting, the construction has begun on the downtown library. And that is really exciting for us. We are kind of moving away from thinking about phase one, even though it is what is happening in front of us, because we're now focused obviously on phase two funding. And a couple of you probably are aware, a couple of really great developments recently. Senator John Laird and Assembly Member Gil Pellerin helped gain that $4.5 billion in California State Libraries Building Forward grant funding, reappropriation funding. And that is going to go right into that phase two of the library. And then we also obviously already have the remaining funds of Measure S. So the Friends contribution, which is a $3 billion goal, fits right into that set of funds that are, you know, they're getting us very close. We'll say, I can only quote City Manager Matt Huffaker and say this additional funding helps close the budget gap for phase two. So yeah, we're getting there now. We have crossed the $2 million mark for the $3 million goal. So that's looking good. And thanks to so many individuals and businesses and community members. And we're just going to keep working to continue that community engagement around those last funds. But because we have the $400,000 match from Monterey Peninsula Foundation, we actually are doing very well. And, you know, that shrinks how much we're trying to raise, which is really nice. And those funds are on the way. I think we've got about a quarter of the match now, and we're just going to keep it.
Well, make no mistake, we recognize you and we appreciate you for years. Well done. We'll move on to the consent agenda, which is usually taken with a single vote. And I know that the workplace safety report is on there.
We have the member report.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed member reports.
There's a hand raise, I'm not sure if it's Friends report.
On the Friends report?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, bring them on. Sorry about that. Thanks for.
Judy, you may speak.
Oh, I was wanting to speak about the consent agenda.
Which item on the consent agenda, Judy?
7B.
Oh, the articles about the Santa Cruz Library?
Well, yes, a question about some information in one of the articles. Yeah.
Continue with your statement.
Okay, so it says $20 million for Measure S will be used. And then later it says the second phase is expected to use more Measure S money, proceeds from Sky Park, et cetera. Where's that other Measure S money coming from and how much? And then farther down, it says cost estimates for the second phase of construction are expected in July. Well, it's August and I'm still waiting to see what the price tag is.
Very good. Thank you very much. I do know something about Measure S. And I know that it's the amount of funds we get sometimes steadily grows because we don't anticipate what the real bond income will be. It's constantly changing, fortunately changing up all the time. And I don't think has the final phase two budget been released? I don't think so. Okay, well, time will tell. Thank you, Judy. I know we have someone here who's interested in item C. Would you like me to pull that for a separate vote? Or did you want to
Yeah,
speak on it?
My purpose here is to listen today.
Okay,
Membership is rather interested in their own safety. And so we're hoping that, we actually make some progress towards having a safer downtown branch and auxiliary branches.
thank you. Very good. Would anyone, is there any other member reports?
Well, oh, are we doing member reports?
Member reports, yeah.
Yeah, I did have something I wanted to say for the member reports. Just that I went to the library annex, and I don't know if everyone's been to the library annex in Live Oak.
That's a
But-
Boys and Girls Club at Simpkins Swim Center, right?
This, I don't know if it's Boys and Girls Club, but it's the library. Yeah, it is Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
Boys and girls is next door, and this is.
This is the, yeah. So I just, wanted just to throw out there that it's such a beautiful space. And I went for a library reading program and then, but I've been there since after I went there once. It's like, oh, it's such a beautiful space and, it seems very underused. So if there's any, from the times I've been there since, that I would just like to encourage all of us to use the meeting rooms and just get the word out, because I think once people do go there, they'll realize it's, you know, it's in a convenient location and I think it's has such potential to be a beautiful asset to our system as the word gets out about it. So
True.
that was it.
Other
Yeah.
member report?
Well, I would
Tricia?
just like to encourage people to go to the groundbreaking if they can on Wednesday at noon. I know
Yes.
you've all gotten invitations and I think it's gonna be spectacular. What a nice way to kick off the downtown library. I'm very sad that I'm gonna be out of town on that day, but I know that the fundraising capital campaign committee will be well represented and I know the LAC will too, and it's really gonna be special. So I hope that you will all get to go.
Any member reports, anyone else? I would just like to thank you for your forbearance and letting me go vagabond around for 5 months and still welcome me back and remember who I am. And thank you. I appreciate that. We'll take the consent calendar, and if no one wants to pull an
I
item on
want to
consent,
pull, I want to
Yes.
pull item D.
item D. Got it? Okay, then we'll take item A, B, and C, the single vote. Is there a motion
Yes,
to
I'm for approval of the consent calendar as amended.
A, B, and C?
I
Second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. And instead of waiting till the end of the agenda, which is silly, we'll just go for number D now.
I read the report and I have a lot of concerns. I know that Bjorn, I think his name was, talked to us last time about AI in the libraries, but I do have a lot of concerns and reading the report made them, I was even more concerned. Just mostly the tone of the report I found very condescending. And some of it spoke about funding issues, like wanting more funding towards AI. And I don't think it really talked enough about it's not just like being afraid of new technology. I think there is a lot of very real fear of how to integrate it, especially as a library system that's not academic at the university level, especially when librarians are interacting with children and helping for school reports, which I think is like a very large chunk of the services that the library provides. So I know we're just supposed to file it, but I just was wondering if people would be open to a motion of just filing it, but recognizing that, I mean, I know I personally have just a lot of concerns about it and disagreements with some of the conclusions. So I don't know how other people feel, if that's just a me issue or.
Can you voice some of the?
Yeah, I
the-
would love to hear.
Yeah,
some.
Sure. Well, the one thing is funding was mentioned several times. And I just know how, you know, we're lucky we're skating through here, but I just feel like AI as a whole is being funded like very much in the world, and I don't necessarily think we need that to be library priority. I understand that the main thrust of it was that the library needs to be a leader incorporating AI rather than kind of a response to AI. But on the other hand, for me, it's like when you say we need to be a leader to incorporate it, it's missing a whole chunk of reflective process on what the role is. And I think this report was supposed to be that reflective process, but to me, it didn't, it just kind of skated over a lot. And it mentions chatbots, like it's just all in. And I can tell you on Monday, I spent a lot of time with the chatbot while I was waiting on hold, and I couldn't, like, it's just loops. Google Maps, I know, has incorporated AI, and we were just on a road trip 3 times. It literally took us in circles. Like, I have a lot of concerns about AI, about the hallucinations, the lying that it does, as far as the library moving towards that model. I just think it's very fast and not something that I think we need to prioritize, particularly with funding at this time.
There are so many different flavors of it.
Mhm.
I don't think we're talking about replacing reference librarians. with-
No, I think
chatbot.
the thrust, oh, you missed we had someone come in
Right.
and speak to us about generative AI
Right.
versus, chatbots and, but yeah, I still have reservations, and I didn't feel like the report, helped me feel comfortable,
Okay.
as far as the library's role.
Tricia?
Well, I'd love to hear Christopher's thoughts on that, but before I ask you to do that, I mean, I absolutely agree. AI scares me. I mean, it has such potential for damage. At the same time, if the library isn't, kind of developing a strategy and engaging and being at the table, it's going to happen without us. So I would just love to hear, your thoughts, Christopher, on, how you feel about this report, and if it puts us in a good position to be a force for good and not evil.
Well, I think I'm somewhere between the two of you, quite honestly. I do kind of feel like it's an eat or be eaten at the moment, because there is, to your point, still so much unknown, and still so much being created and so much to be discovered. What I want to be able to do as a leader is to manage expectations around what AI can do for our constituents and for our staff. And that's the big unknown to me. I don't think it replaces people. I'll be frank, I think all the people that have been replaced in libraries have pretty much already been replaced by Google, quite honestly. I'm not sure what AI's role is in here. I think what you caught on very savvily, that's not the word, Rena, but is that this is very much a first high-level report from the state library that involved public librarians, academic librarians, and special librarians. I think there were some school librarians in there too, but it's hard to come out of that with a kind of cohesive strategy for 4 very different types of organizations, right? Because the academics are all in for a different reason than the public librarians are looking for. So I think that still needs to be sussed out. And if I remember correctly, this project was originally going to be a 3-year funded project, and because of the IMLS situation, it became a 1-year funded project. So part of that is the result here as well. I will say it was useful for me and for Bjorn just to be involved in it. I learned tremendously, and my own interest was piqued, and it should have been, and my other peers should be aware of this as well. I don't think we're at a point where we need to be asking. I don't want to ask for funding for this. I don't want to launch it, not until we know what it is that we would be doing with it that helps people of Santa Cruz. And that's still the big question mark for me.
Understood. More discussion? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I kind of felt like this is a good start of what we know, what we don't know, and what we don't know is clearly larger than what we know. But I also see this as similar to what libraries experienced when computers came on board, was they have a literacy goal of teaching information literacy, teaching the public how to utilize, like what that means and how to utilize the best of the tools at the time, or stay away from the worst of the tools. I feel like it's the same way we had to integrate computers and teaching the constituents about the world of computers, in the same way library kind of needs to be involved earlier than later in order to be able to help people suss it out, to your point.
Anyone
There's-
else?
To your point, that's very, thank you for that. There's so much to suss out. Sarah and I went and did a drop-in AI session with the Fab Labs in Bjorn in July. And that is just a roundtable of different people playing in the space, sitting down, talking about what their projects they're working on. And what I learned that night went right over the top of my head, but it was fascinating. And they were very gracious because they had two newbies, and so they just kind of stopped and defined a lot of stuff for us. But I realized there's a lot of stuff going on that I wasn't even aware of, like vibe coding. We learned about vibe coding that day. I don't know. Well, that's a whole other conversation, and maybe it should come back when we're ready to continue the conversation. We should bring it back.
And it's such a broad term. I'm guilty of being an early adopter, all in on all technology. At least that's what my wife tells me. And in spite of spending hours in the car over the trip, somehow my car learned the ability to converse with me. And it was funny and interesting and scary at the same time. And I'm more concerned with the veracity of the information coming in
Yes, that's
through the
big-
library, because
that's the
when,
biggest.
when information comes in and it has the mantle of truth because it comes through the library and it isn't,
Right.
that's the scary part. But, I also think AI is applicable to how we get our counts for people coming in and how we do the metrics for open hours. So
Right.
that's part of AI. So there's all the flavors, but I think that, would you like to craft a motion that brings your concerns into play?
I
and we
mean,
can
it
pass
doesn't,
those?
I don't know if there's enough consensus for,
I'm hearing
that.
that there's some concern, not enough to not accept the report, but to accept, file, and recommend further study.
Revisiting, yeah, revisiting. And what would be a good amount of time, Christopher? Would that be a year?
Let's say a year, see,
okay,
yeah. 'Cause
Well-
I really think we could get something out of strategic planning out of this too, because we're talking about what our reference and research librarians should be doing in the future. And this topic comes up about like, how do we, when the government is pulling information off of websites, and where is the veracity?
Right.
yes.
So,
The sourcing. I'm hearing a motion, if I
Yeah,
can
no,
paraphrase,
no,
that
you
it's
just did,
to
so
accept
that's-
and file and to highly recommend further study and report coming back in a year to the commission.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye, opposed? Good. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
I was a little spun by the report as well. It was a report speak at its finest. Well, we'll move on to general business and go on to item 8A, which is the status of the music CD collection.
Sarah, do you want to help present this?
Would you like me just to give an overview of where we
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I tried to be as transparent as possible, and the report included a lot of data and charts and graphs to put it all up front. But really what we're seeing overall is a declining use trend with the music CDs. So we haven't been purchasing new CDs. We have CDs, music CDs in the collection for adults and for children. And we're seeing, especially with the children's music CD collection, that they are barely moving at all. They're a little bit ahead of the curve than the adult music CD collection. So we've been tracking circulation. You can see in the music CD circulation chart, there is a little dip during the COVID years, the 2021 years. But overall, it's been a consistent decrease in circulation. We did move the music CDs from all the branches to downtown. And we've been watching that carefully, just to kind of see how that's going. That happened because we were seeing the declining use. Well, let's consolidate them all, make it a real browsing collection. Maybe it will become a highlight for people to come to the downtown market to browse all the CDs. place. But we're, even with them all together, we're still continuing to see declining use. And so we looked, there is, I'm going to refer to my notes here, but it's in this report. In 2012, so this is just the downtown library. Over 90% of the music CD collection had circulated in the past year. Last year, that dropped to only 58% of the collection, and that's just downtown, not just the full branch. So just taking into consideration, well, we did move everything to the downtown library, so perhaps that could have influenced the overall circulation numbers. And we do have Link Plus now, so we were curious, are people not finding the music in our collection and borrowing it through Link Plus? But there are barely any Link Plus music CD requests. As like just a snapshot in time, earlier this month, the Link Plus borrows by our patrons from other libraries in California. It's less than 3% of our total Link Plus borrows. So we're also seeing that our patrons aren't moving from the physical format to the digital format. We do have a robust music collection in Hoopla. A lot of great albums, and one album counts as a borrow, but we're still seeing declining use in Hoopla as well. There is a reference to some other streaming music vendors, resources out there for public libraries. One of them is Freegal, which is a really well-regarded product, and we have looked at it before, but we just haven't seen the need, since we're not seeing a lot of demand and that we would need to bring on a secondary vendor for that. And then this is you've got it in front of you, but the chart that shows the physical CD shipments nationwide, just declining over the past decades. And we're seeing it out in the world. Fewer cars don't have disc players. A lot of people are buying CDs for their houses, maybe as a special collection item they are. But it's so much now it's digital and streaming. So we're just looking ahead to the future of what we'll do with this collection, and we're letting the collection development policy guide us. There are guidelines for withdraw materials from the collection, and that includes their physical condition and declining use. No longer fitting our selection criteria. So we'll be looking at the data, we'll be looking at the collection development policy. The interesting thing is, even though we're seeing declining use of the music CDs, we're still seeing strong interest in music. So I tried to highlight in the paragraph about commitment to music that we really do have a lot of amazing music programs for adults and for kids. And we've got the Soundswell collection, which really champions local musicians. And some patrons with their library card can download songs or albums from local musicians. And the library actually pays local musicians for their music so that we can keep it and make it accessible. And I'm happy to answer.
So in addition to the digital media that they can download, local musicians and otherwise, we're still keeping the collection at Central.
Yes.
And we'll be gradually culling the collection according to, if it goes 400 days with an item not being checked out, just like a book, we take a second look at it. Is that true?
So for like all materials in the library collection, if they don't circulate within a certain amount of time, we do look at them and withdraw them from the collection as necessary.
And it does cost resources, budget dollars to maintain that CD collection. Am I right?
We're not adding to it.
Right.
At the moment. But occasionally we'll replace a case or produce new cover art that has been damaged.
So it's not a big drain of the budget currently. Rena, did you hear your?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm talking
That's
too
all right.
much. I was just curious, based on some of the correspondence we had, if you could go through just whether the public is ever involved in your decision making for removal of items in as far as like them not being used, or if it's just basic, like they're not being used? Like, is it something you would ever bring to the public?
Well, public is our number one decider of what goes into the collection, so through usage. We really look at how, excuse me, materials in the collection are being used. So that includes being checked out and how frequently they're being checked out. And we do take, well, for the music CDs, we're not purchasing more, but really input through staff and our purchase suggestion form. But we've got an established collection development policy with guidelines, and so we do follow those guidelines.
Great.
But we're always open to this.
I had one
Go ahead,
more.
continue, please.
I know there's I was talking with staff about this, and they said that there's specific shelving that the CDs need, and that is also why it might have been just kind of consolidated to the downtown. Is that?
That's a good point. The downtown library has special CD drawers in place, and so they actually pull out. And I think of it as like going to the record store where you can kind of flip through. So they're shelved like one in front of the other. And then they've actually got their phone number printed in the corner. So it just helps for visibility that way.
And the other branches do not have that special,
They don't, but the other branches, they were being shelved on regular.
right? Very good.
For the most
Tricia?
I mean, I would just say the public is the number one decider, right?
Mhm.
They either use the item or they don't. And I'm sure space is always at a premium, and if an item is not being used, that should be the decision, and that's what is happening with all the materials, so, I'm comfortable with that. I go to the library all the time. I've never checked out a CD, because I have my own way of listening to music, so, I mean, I understand that.
Questions of staff, anyone else? My commission, do we have anyone with their hand raised?
Yes.
Sure.
Judy?
Welcome back, Judy.
Okay, I may need more than 3 minutes. So yesterday, I looked at the amount of shelf space currently devoted to audiobooks.
Hang on, Judy.
Hang on.
Sorry, Judy, you're good to go?
Back on again.
Okay,
Thank you.
I don't know.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Go right ahead.
I looked at the amount of shelf space yesterday downtown that's devoted to audiobooks and the Pimsleur language courses. And somehow there's room for these, despite the claim that people don't have CD players anymore. There's a lot of space devoted to DVDs, another technology that's on the way out. So which is more important for a library to offer to the public? Music that has stood the test of time, such as key works in the genres of classical, jazz, or rock, or several seasons of TV shows like Desperate Housewives, Broad City, and the like. Not everybody can stream content, whether it's free or paid. I pay for Amazon to stream music, but it's, $10 a month. Not everybody can do that. One advantage of music CDs versus streaming is better sound quality. Another is that CD inserts provide a lot of information about the recording itself, the composers, the lyrics, etc. Interestingly, I just listened to a podcast from the Brooklyn Public Library called Borrowed and Returned that said they are reintroducing vinyl records into their collection due to their popularity. And surely that is a medium that takes up room and is prone to damage. So what's equally concerning here is the process of informing the public when contemplating such decisions about getting rid of an entire collection, which is what I'm understanding is going to happen.
That's not our intention, just so you know.
You're going to keep some CDs?
They'll be at the Central Branch. We'll have the collection, it will be consolidated at Central.
Well, the staff report doesn't give any conclusive answer. It says the future of the music CD collection, as Santa Cruz Library's staff looks to the future, we must consider the future of the music CD collection and its space in the new downtown library. As a decision is made, we will be guided by the collection development policy and make data-driven decisions. So, when discussions were underway about a new library versus a renovation, one of the big claims was that a new library would not result in a reduction in the collection, whereas a renovation would. But here we are with constraints over enough space. So, I was under the impression that you're going to purge the entire CD collection. If I'm wrong, that would be good. And I'm
Correct.
thinking,
That is not the case.
okay, well, good. But if it's my concern is whether if there was such a decision, would the public be consulted, not about individual items, but rather the entire collection? Because, how would they be made aware of this? Anyway, since that's not the issue, I guess I don't have to worry about it. But I'm thinking, why not put some of the CDs, if space is an issue, in the atrium? That seems like a lot of wasted space. And of course, when I was perusing the collection, I saw a lot of duplicates and triplicates. So surely those could be removed to condense the collection. So yeah, those box sets, and it was a lot of public money invested in this collection and staff time assembling a good CD collection. So I definitely would hate to see it totally purged.
Very good. Thank you very much for your comments, and we will continue to discuss this matter. Thank you,
Okay,
Judy.
thanks.
So I think
don't know.
with regard to multiples, I think, again, the collection, the way we do our collection culling, if we have 12 items that are not being taken out, just like 12 books in a branch, it would go down to 1 or 2, depending on the demand. Correct?
Absolutely, and that's part of our collection.
Very good.
So are there plans to completely eliminate the CD collection at this time?
I think what we're gonna do is continue to monitor the data, right? So that we're working from informed decision making. We are clearly, if you look at the trends, we're reaching an inflection point with this format, which I'm sure this library experienced with cassettes and with VHS. We're always the last one to hold these formats for very good reason, because there are a number of people in our community that still have those players and they don't have the other resources. But at some point, these numbers will continue to drop and it will become like an issue of, okay, really, what do we need to be doing? Not
Understood.
there yet. But
Very good. And I think that the key point, if I can boil down Judy's comments, is if and when that ever happens, will the public get some advance notice? And I'm sure that, if we eliminated, juvenile fiction completely, it would be a discussion in this room. So we'll move on from there. Motion to accept and file this report.
Raising her hand again, I don't know, like, allow her to give a second.
Sure, Judy, come on in.
All right, Judy.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Judy. What do you have?
Okay, thanks. Well, would that be, if you eliminated the music CDs, that it would make sense that you'd have to eliminate all the audiobooks because people don't have CD players, right?
it's a false equivalency in the sense that people are still checking out audiobooks on CD. So clearly some people have them. Is that people aren't using the CDs, music CDs. So the use is the data that's driving it.
Yeah, okay.
Good. Thank you, Judy.
I'd like to make a motion
Please do.
to accept and file this report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Timothy seconds. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the Drag Queen story time at Branson 40.
So thank you. We've got Shelley Murray here and Amber is with her as well. Shelley put together this proposal for a drag queen story time at the Branson 40 Library, which is where you're based. My understanding is we had one lined up to go before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit, and so we never did anything. But what you did over the summer was survey parents and caregivers who were coming to your story times about what kind of story times they would like. And there were numerous suggestions, including multiple requests for a drag story hour. Because that is a sensitive topic and because we want to do right by our kiddos, we are treating this special and coming with a proposal to this board for discussion and endorsement. And Shelley, I'll turn it over to you.
So We are here as librarians, but also as parents of smaller children. And this is something that we feel like would be really at home at Santa Cruz Public Library. So Drag Storytime is a family-friendly program for drag performers to read children's books that highlight themes of diversity, self-expression, and community. And it's inclusive, literacy-rich experience aligned with the Santa Cruz Public Library's values of access, equity, learning, and community. And so to provide Drag Storytime, we would like to partner with the Drag Storytime Collective to offer the Drag Storytime with ideally regular monthly programs. A little bit about the program is, well, first of all, it wouldn't take place of any of the story times. We would still have those in the mornings, and it would just be its own event later in the afternoon. So if somebody doesn't want to come, then they can come to regular story time. And it would be about 45 to 60 minutes, but really a lot of that leaves room for crafts and things like that at the end. And like with my story times, I always put out a lot of toys for kids afterwards. And the Drag Storytime group is also part of Mission Pacific Dance Studio, so they do them there. Childish Toy Shop also has them there, and the moms as well. So Ed, I wanted to touch a little bit more on the survey that was done in July. There was a large amount of people that especially requested a drag story time. They also, the top 3 requests were for drag story time, musicians and musical instruments, as well as career day guests. So firefighters are still.
No doubt.
Some of the comments included, they're looking for more inclusivity, inclusion and diversity within our Storytime or youth program offerings. And as a note to that, I just wanted to say, I went through our calendar for the last year today just to see what we've offered in the past. We have bilingual music story times. We did Native American heritage story times. We did Women's History Month story times. We did Pride. We did Juneteenth. I think we covered not all of them, but I think we are fairly inclusive, and I think a drag story time would really add to what we currently offer our patrons. It's also in line with ALA's Bill of Rights of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, and also it fits in with SCPL's current strategic goals of early literacy engagement, inclusive representation, community building, and support for self-expression. So it fits right in there with our strategic goals already. And then just going over some guidelines and potential like challenge mitigation stuff just in case that happens, we want to be prepared. All performers would have to abide by our current guidelines for any performer. So they're going to have to be fingerprinted. There's going to be a youth librarian in the room at all times, like we do with any of our performers or presenters. Performers will wear family appropriate attire, and that will be pre-approved also by the youth librarians that are running the program. Just and the stories as well. Yes, the stories will be pre-approved also, so they're not going to just come in and read something random that we haven't seen before. We're going to say yes or no to it beforehand. All of the programs will be public and open to the public and free of charge. And then in case there's any community sensitivity or pushback, we will proactively frame the event as literacy and inclusion based story times, consistent with our values. And then everything will be pre-approved and we will be in the room. If there's any safety or security concerns, we will be partnering with the Rainbow Defense Coalition, who come out and support for safety and security for these kinds of events. If necessary, if we find out not necessary, then did you guys have any questions for us?
Questions, commissioners?
So,
Yes.
Since I believe we are changing the rules, so we want performers to be fingerprinted,
we have reached out to them and I let them know that whoever is presenting has to be.
Well, I don't really have a question as much as I thank you. This is really informative. We did get a letter from a member of the public saying, well, that's not diversity if you just do one, but you've just filled in the blanks for us, how many other programs you've done with story time. So I just really appreciate your work on this and you're very informative. So thank you.
Yes, Emily?
Am I clear that, I mean, I thought that was a good point that you brought up, that there's a lot of diversity in the program, but did I understand that you said that this is gonna be a monthly? That's what you're trying to make it?
We would like it to be something that we offer monthly. It doesn't have to just be at one branch. I know that there's 2 other branches besides Franklin 40 that would like to have it also.
Is that consistent with all the other programs that you listed? Is it having it monthly? Does that make it stand out that it's not consistent with, as consistent with Native American or women or other programs that you do?
I know that some of the months that are specific, to women's rights, things like that, those are just, 1 month in the year. But a lot of the bilingual programs and things like that, we do have monthly.
Have you had any requests from the public from any of the other programs you mentioned to have them be more frequent?
Not as far as the survey that we passed out, I don't think there was any.
Was the survey, drag reading story time specific, or was it for everything?
We did not mention drag story time at all. We just said, what performers would you like to see?
Okay,
Give us some ideas also for other things,
how big a sample was it? I mean, how many responses did you get from your survey?
36.
36? Okay.
And could I ask you, Betty, you mentioned this was a strong request as well as musicians, career days. Has an emphasis been put on those other subjects to say, are those monthly,
Well, we could talk about doing at least in December.
Yeah, I mean, based on the survey, we're looking at all of the survey responses and this one we're bringing to you specifically because it can be sensitive, there can be pushback. Shelley, for example, is doing a Nutcracker story time in December where she's having ballerinas come from a local ballet company. And so that would be, more of a musical story time or dance themed, but we don't necessarily need to get here.
Ballerinas need to be represented also, but we understand that. And I think that we're not pushing back on the program. I think we're asking the questions that will be asked. And so if I get that right, Pam.
Something else I want to point out is that I do have some examples of books. And so if there's a problem with a book, maybe being too maybe queer oriented, we also have a lot of just regular books that are ones that I know that the kids love that we use frequently. We have a lot of options in the library that
And it should be noted that, Drag Society is not necessarily an LGBTQ program. It's a totally different, it's its own thing. So I think that kind of education is important for the public in general too. Yes,
I appreciate your thoroughness and having a mitigation strategy. I'm just curious. Do you have a sense that there might be issues, that there might be people showing up either, in support or very much against this?
I think no matter what you do, you'll always find one person that doesn't agree with it. They might show up to voice that opinion. I think with this, I know that there was pushback in Watsonville, and that's sort of where the Rainbow Defense Coalition came out of. And so it's always better to just be prepared.
It just seems to me that having the police on call feels.
But it's not the police.
It's not the
police. They're citizens that are just
Oh,
there in support.
Okay, well, it's just mentioned here that there was some sort of backup. So I was just curious what your
Yeah. So
expectation
what they
was.
do is they stand there, say there's protesters and they twirl rainbow umbrellas and it just blocks the kids from having to see people like arrested.
Great, thank you.
We'll just add a comment.
Yes, Christopher.
This came from the public via these two. I didn't bring this here. We did do this in New York. And it was the parents and the caregivers who they wanted their kids to have this experience.
Sure.
And so we started it as a test and it became a regular thing as well. But
And well received, I take it.
Just, you know, on a personal note, as a parent, I have a 6-year-old son who I think would really, really he loves dressing up. He loves mermaids. I think he would absolutely love to see a story time with dragons.
Yes, I'm very excited about this idea. So I'm delighted that you brought it to the library because I know it's going on at other places like you mentioned. So I was kind of like, oh, why isn't that at the library? So I'm really glad to see it.
And we can
here
celebrate the greatest
incorporated.
proponent of drag performance, which is Shakespeare.
Yes.
Let's put it on the right level. Is there a motion?
Do we need a motion for this?
I think this is, yes, to endorse.
I'll make a motion. I'd be honored to make a motion to endorse.
Public comment, sorry, I jumped over that.
Judy.
Hi, Judy.
Hi, well, I might as well weigh in on this. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have grandkids, you know, and even if I did, you know, I have a many years appreciation of what drag is. I don't know about the monthly thing. I think the library, you know, it's going to cost, I don't know what, $300 or possibly more. I think the library could spend that money other places, pay other performers, which I'm sure you do, but, you know, spread the money around and spread the programming around. I don't particularly think this is needed every single month. The age range of 3 to 10, that seems kind of a wide range. I think it's 3-year-olds aren't going to get it. Yeah, so the fact that you're anticipating possible pushback, I mean, we think Santa Cruz is a nice little bubble, everybody's liberal, but you never know. This could bring out the ugly side of some people, and that might be traumatizing for the kids. Well, I hope it goes well, but, you know, like I say, let's give some other less widely, you know, less represented people and lifestyles, let them also have a space to share their stories and culture. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Is there anyone else?
No, that was.
Okay.
To speak on the money portion of it, I think I was trying to be overly ambitious with, you know, trying to cover everything. Talking with Drag Storytime Santa Cruz, they do cover the first performance as their collective, but after that, they do like to pay $100 per performer. And then we also have all the books in our system, so that wouldn't cost anything. And then, so I don't think it's actually as much as.
Very good.
Since intended to be funded by the library, for instance, Felton, the Friends do a lot of this covering expenses for outside.
I understand that. I know that a lot of branches, their friends groups are much more lucrative and we have more. At Branson 40, our friends, I feel like they would want to help, but they're very new. They don't have a lot of money. And I think that's for
Not yet.
Anything further?
That might be part of the literacy funding, which the Friends just gave. Remind me of the amount?
89,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're the one who came to the meeting and sat there. So.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, this does have to be an example of a very young friends group and a friends group that will be emerging soon. So certainly more to come on both of those.
Anything further?
I'd love to make a
We'll go to the
motion.
motion.
Yeah, that we endorse this the Family Storytime Celebration Program proposal.
Very good. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the website migration project. I think that's You, Chris?
That's just me, and this is really just an update. We brought this to you, you may remember a while ago, and this was a gleam in our eye. And now it's much more than a gleam in our eye. It makes us cry sometimes. Staff are to their chest in this work, and they have been for a couple of months now. And so I thought I would give you an update. There's still work to be done that's exciting, and we will come back and give you a final report on this project, hopefully at the fall meeting. But it is moving quickly. So I just wanted to give you guys an update. When we first envisioned migrating the website, you kind of think of the website as one thing and you move it from one environment to another. And what this particular vendor that we went with gave us was some other options to solve some of our other website issues. So that's what we started with. If you go to our website today, you'll see our new calendar of events and programs. We call it Attend. It looks kind of the same as the old, but it's actually their new software powering it. And the nice thing about it is patrons can go in and create their own brochures based on their own targeted interests, which might help us save some marketing money. We're going to try promoting that later in the fall and see how much people actually pick up on it. You can also now reserve a meeting room or a community room like this one online. And then you get a form, you fill out the form, and it goes to the branch manager and to the assistant director for final approval for the meeting rooms. And then in September, we'll launch the study rooms, and that's what we're really thinking it's going to take off. Your point about Lola is also right there, right? Because you can book your study room remotely rather than having to race to the library at 10 a.m. when it opens. We'll likely have a window for those people who don't have an online source to allow for walk-ins for a part of the day, but then the rest of the day you can book one of those study rooms and use it online. You can also, as of today, you can schedule appointments. So a lot of people schedule tech appointments with their librarians at the different branches. You can do that online. And then our digital signage display is already rolled out. What's coming up next are two of the big things. We're getting a new mobile app out of this. I don't want to say too much about the current app, but it really doesn't. So we're really excited that that's coming. We got a preview of it at the beginning of last week. The IT staff are kicking its tires right now, and then it will go out for a preview to staff and then to the public. We will likely continue to operate the old app for 4 to 6 weeks because we will have to promote the heck out of the new one to get people to download that app and replace the other one. But we're really excited about that. It seems far more intuitive and it works. And then also the website shell itself will migrate in September, and we will do a similar thing. We're working on the app first, then we're going to the website. We'll work on that internally for a couple of weeks, then we'll roll it out to the public and roll both of them at the same time until we have enough people moved over to the new one that we can safely ditch the old one. We could not do that with the calendar and the reserve meeting room. It was all one or all the other, so we had to just kind of cross the bridge with that one. And a couple of us fell in the water and climbed out the other side. We're learning. So hopefully these other two will be far more smooth. And then further down the road, probably later this fall, because there's less pressure for it, there's this layer that will sit over the website called a discovery layer. And librarians know these because they're more prevalent in libraries now, but it's a way to kind of curate your catalog and curate your programs and bring them out together and display them to the public. So if you're going to a story time that talks about dinosaurs, there might also be a list of dinosaur books or whatever in that same result. So that crosswalks people from the various services of the library. More to come on that. But yeah, we're all working very hard. And I think we haven't completely worn everyone out, but I'm really just proud of the team across the library that's been involved in this. And we will come back to you in the fall with a final report of how this all goes.
And Christopher, I noticed one of the vacant positions is in our IT department. Has this program suffered, or the migration of the server to headquarters suffered because we have that vacancy?
No, not in terms of it affecting the timeline on either of those projects. We have those things covered. Carlos Silva, who is our IT manager, has also been out on FMLA, working remotely part of the week. And we've had Jennifer Young, who has presented to this group before the last year. She has taken over as co-coordinator of this project while he was on FMLA. So that's actually kept things moving forward very well, because Jennifer is hyper organized.
As we might expect, from someone in that position, right?
So we're actually still on target. If
That's
that
great.
changes, we'll absolutely.
Wonderful. Questions on this? Rena? No? Very good. I think it's an accept and file motion.
Great.
So,
So moved.
so move. Seconded by Timothy. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Once again unanimous, and we'll go on to the upcoming meeting, which is at the downtown branch. The soon to be the former downtown branch.
Seem to be the forward. downtown branch.
I don't know how soon, but.
We don't know how soon. We probably have a couple of years to go, but at least it's going. It's happening.
It's moving forward.
And it's October 20th. Anything else for the good of the order, as they say? None? Then I'll use the gavel again and say, meeting adjourned. Thank you.